Alrighty. Right. Good afternoon, people. Sorry for the weird setup. I am currently not at home. I am traveling for work and training. So things are really wonky right now with my setup, but that's okay. We'll press on. So tonight we're gonna do a little bit of modding, like a live mod show, to kind of show you some examples of what is good mods to slice or level up, what are bad mods, what to look for, and kind of how to progress your mod account um, further than what other people do. So without further ado, let's take a look. This is my main account. We're going to take a look at some mods real quick. I saved up some mods for this little presentation so you can kind of see. So we'll start off with managing mods. This will be the main hub in which you want to interact with your mods. In here on the top left, you can see that there's some filters that you can apply, and we'll go through a couple of them that I have here, but we'll just do like a custom one to kind of suit our needs. So like when you're first starting off, mod filters is definitely the way to help yourself go through hundreds of mods within a few minutes. So the first thing to start off with is kind of looking at the types of mods that we have, right? And so on here we have the tiers, right? We have E through A, or gray, green, blue, purple, and gold. And when you get these mods, you're going to want to level these up and they'll reveal some stats. So like we'll take a look at some green mods or some gray mods that we might have. Let's see. And then we want to make sure that they're Mark 5s. We don't care about Mark 6s. So right here, these are some gray mods. This is probably the most common mods that you'll get when you're farming. And when you get these mods, one of the best things to do is, in the very beginning, is make sure that your mod has speed rolls on them, right? So your arrows, you almost always want to use speed, but for these other ones, you're going to want to make sure that they have speed as a secondary on here. Some other stats to look for when you're looking at your mods, whether they're gray, green, blue, purple, is generally you want a good speed roll, which is 5 or 4. You can work with 4s. I wouldn't recommend working with 3s. That's just a low slice quality. But 4s and 5s are where you want to start off with. And then I tend to at least look for, in the early to early mid game, I would look for another substat that matches what you're trying to look for. So for an example, for an offense set, I am looking for speed and offense percentage. And an easy way to do that, if I want to look for that particular type of mod, is come down here to your secondaries. The secondary stats is, you can filter them out. So like I said, for an offense set, I'm going to want speed, I want offense, as you can see here. And we'll go into this a little bit later, but as you can see right here, I want to make sure it has speed, and I want to make sure it has offense. And so we go to filter mods, and out of my gray mods right now, this is what I have to work with. When I look at these kind of things, I see that everything I have here that's available to me currently is crosses, and crosses have their own primaries. It's something to note that, like for this example, this is an offense cross. The primary is health on this one. So the secondary or the substats will never match the primary stat. It used to be something way back before I even played that was a thing, but that doesn't exist anymore. So just note that whatever the primary is here will not show up in the secondary. Now, having played this game for some time, I know that these crosses I really want to mess around with. maybe this tenacity one, but all these other ones I would rather have on an offense set. I would rather have offense primary. So let's take a look at some of these other filters that we can use and start building a filter ourselves to kind of work through everything. So I've reset everything to default. And if you want to start working on mods, one of the easiest things to do is to make sure you do not have some primary stats that you'll never use. So a good example of this is just click on all these, some arrows. Now we can just do all slots, that's fine. Any set is fine. And for primary stats, the ones that I would just throw away right away are accuracy percent and defense percent. And then just go ahead and say filter, and then we can just call this one trash mods. So when I click on my trash mods, I click filter. Yes, that's what it was. So we want to make sure that we're filtering out the diamonds, because diamonds are always going to be a defense percent. But these other ones, we don't want them to be defense. So we'll save the mod or filter it. And you can see here, here's some triangles and arrows. Early on, you're not going to really want to use any of these types of mods. But as you can see, some of these rolled really well, so I just kept them. But it's definitely like accuracy, you'll never use accuracy. You can definitely get rid of accuracy. Defense, you'd have to make a really good case to have defense primaries outside of diamonds, which is always a defense primary. Okay, so say we went through our trash mods, and now we want to look at some of our gray mods. We want to get them to level 9. So we're going to do unassigned mods. We can do any slot, that's fine. Any mod set, any primaries is fine. Secondaries is fine, at least level 1. And we want to make sure it is a Mark 5. Mark 1 through 4s is lower mods that you'll never use, so it's just Mark 5s and 6s, and we want to click on E. And then on here, we are going to be basically filtering all of our Mark 5 gray mods out. And this is everything that I have currently, right? So you can see some of them are already level 9, and that's okay. But we can still go through this example. All you would have to do to level these up is hit select all, select upgrade, and then make sure to hit this 9 right here. Don't hit reveal all secondary stats, because with grays, you get a couple hits, you get 3 hits of a secondary. You're going to want to make sure that they hit speed at least once. Okay, so we went ahead and we filtered our grays, and now we want to start filtering our all the other rarities, right? So same exact mod set, or the filter that we have, right? Except this time we want D, C, B, and A. Well, I guess A doesn't really matter, because this one is going to be called reveal all, which I have over here, which essentially what it does is it filters all the other rarity mobs that we have, and we want to select all, hit upgrade, and reveal all secondary stats. So we'll go ahead and do that with this one. There's a couple of mods on here that I upgraded, and there we go. Now we have our foundation in which we can work with our mods. So to quickly recap, we've run ahead, we made a filter for selling trash mods, which is your all of your mod slots that aren't diamond, that have defense and accuracy, because diamonds always roll defense, so don't worry about that. Then we made a mod set for our grays to level 9, which is just making sure that we have our Mark 5 E's, It can be less than 12, that's fine. You can put it at 1 at least, that's fine too. And then you select all of your grays and go to level 9. And then lastly, we did our reveal all, which is Mark 5s, D, C, and B. So now we have a foundation in which we can start like leveling up mods. So there's leveling and slicing, and we'll work on leveling first, which is anything that you're going to be doing with your Mark 5 mods. Now to make a leveling one, we want to filter out one more set of trash, right? And what I mean by that is there's going to be mods that do not roll speed that we just do not want to bother with, right? So the easiest way to do that is to go in your mod sets, or mod filters, excuse me, unassign mods, filter for speed, make sure it does not have speed, and make sure to click all of these. And what this will do is filter out the mods that I picked, or that we went ahead and leveled. So like these two got leveled, or this one got leveled, and then this one I had before. And these are mods that do not have speed. Mods that don't have speed, we want to get rid of it. And it's just not worth our time. So we go ahead and sell these two. And there we go. So now we've gotten rid of all of the mods that do not have speed as a secondary. Now we want to look at leveling our mods. And I kind of do this in like a split way, right? So we'll go ahead, hit unassign mods, we'll click all of these. And the reason I'm not doing an arrow is because these other slots have a higher rate of return when it comes to investment. You're going to invest credits and slicing materials into these mods, and when you get these mods to what's called 6E, which is 6 dot mods, the primary stats for all of these mod slots will go up, but the rate of return that you're going to get on your investment on an arrow, say is a speed, which is a 5 dot speed arrow will be 30, will only give you 2 more speed, which isn't all the greatest. So we'll go ahead, filter out all these mods. We'll do any mod set, that's fine. Any primary stat is fine because we already filtered out the nonsense we don't want. And we want to make sure we have speed. And let's say this is where you can kind of tailor it to what you're working towards, certain types of mods. So such as, you're not gonna mod everyone the exact same. You're gonna mod tanks differently, you're gonna mod Galactic Legends differently, you're gonna mod your supports and offensive people. So, but pretty much every single mod needs to have speed. So if you don't know exactly what you're aiming for, a good indicator of where you're at is just go ahead, or like what you want to work on, is just go ahead and just filter by speed. And on here are some of my pre-existing mods I already have. So we'll just go, and just for this instance, I will do less than 15. And that way we can see some mods we want to work with. So as you can see, we can work on some gray mods, for example, which will be your most common one, right? And so we have a few sets here, and we'll go through and see which ones we want to level up. Sorry, I'm just moving some stuff around. All right, so let's see. This one's meh, that one's okay. This one's not too bad. We'll just find something decent to work with. You know what? This one's pretty good. So when you're leveling up mods, we'll take, we'll take this one as an example. When you level up mods, each one of these secondary stats has a chance of hitting itself again, right? So you see this 1, that means this 1 hit of 4 speed. This 2 means 2 hits of protection. I have one more level I can apply before all of the secondary stats for this mod at 5 dots has been determined for us. So we'll go ahead and hit this mod. Normally I wouldn't for my own restrictions. But early on, like if you don't have that many speed mods, go ahead and hit it. So for this, we're going to hit it. Since we already have a primary, we have an offensive set with a primary of offense, which is the only thing that squares can roll. We have speed, and then we have some percentage secondaries. This is a pretty good mod to work with. But we're hoping it hits speed, so let's go ahead and level it. Okay, so in this instance, we got a third hit of protection, which is, you know, nice, but because this is an offensive set, we don't really care about protection. So for this one, we're just gonna go ahead and sell it. It's just not worth our time. Let's see, what else do we have down here? Let us see. We got some nasty sets, that's whatever. Offense, speed, protection, defense, that can be all right. We will go ahead and work with, let's just work a random one. That's not that big of a deal. So we'll go ahead and work this one. I'll show you an example of how upgrading and slicing works. So we have this 5-dot mod, it's okay. So I got good hit speed, offense primary with an offense set, some flat health, which is not that good, flat or percentage defense, which is, I don't really care about it. Since it's going, offensive sets are going to go on an offensive character. So we'll hit it. Okay, we got some health, so we can work with this, right? So we'll use this as an example. Then you level it up to 15, which doesn't increase any of your secondaries. It increases your primary. Once a mod at 5-dot has reached level 15, now we're going to go into what's called slicing, which uses different materials. Your upgrades are using just your credits, and then your slicing materials is using these types of material that you get from mod challenges, as well as like galactic challenges and whatnot. So as you see here, when we slice this material from gray to green, we have a 25% chance of hitting any one of these. Now for this mod, we pretty much want speed. It's okay if it gets health percentage, but we mainly want speed. So let's go ahead and slice it and see what we get. Okay, we got flat health, which is the worst, and it got the lowest roll possible. If you didn't know, this bar that you see right here is the percentage slice, or how good a slice is. So like, for example, this speed one is max, close to max, you can hit 6 technically. And then the health that we just hit was literally the lowest flat health you can get. But for this example, we'll go ahead and slice it one more time. As you can see, the materials have changed. Instead of just the bonding pins, now we have an additional material fusion disc. So we'll go ahead and hit it. Okay, that's really good. So we got a 6 speed. So this mod is still usable. Now, since we're going from blue to purple, the mods are now changing. The mod material is changing yet again. So we got fusion discs, and now we have these control chips. So we're gonna hit it again and hope we get speed. If we get percentage health, that's fine too, but mainly speed. Okay, so we got flat health. Again, the worst thing you can get on this mod. Normally I would kind of be iffy about getting this mod up one more time, but for the sake of brevity for this video, we'll just stick with this mod and we'll keep on going. So now we're going to start to get into different types of materials, and that's where you can start seeing like, hey, slicing one mod up from gray all the way to gold is going to take a lot of different materials. But let's go ahead and hit it, hope for speed, and we got flat defense. Now in this case, we're at a 5-dot gold mod, which is the highest you can be, and you can see the next step to take it to is what's called 6E, which is a 6-dot but back to gray. Now this is where you need to be very smart about what mods you bring up to 6E. In this example right here, I would not bring this up to 6E. The reason I wouldn't bring this up to 6E is because the speed on here is too low for me to justify gambling more into slicing to get more speed. A general rule of thumb is anything that's at 14 speed, you would want to bring it to 6E, because what happens is all these secondary stats, when you bring it up to 6E, get increased. Speed gets increased by 1, so if it was 14 right now, it would go up to 15, and then it would have a couple more chances at hitting speed. But for this mod, early game, I'd keep it. I wouldn't bring it to 6E. You can just throw 11 speed's not too bad starting off. You know, you can throw it on someone. Health, defense, not the greatest, but it's an offense mod with offense primary. Now let's see what the chat's saying. The boss is saying, how many rolls should I mod have for you to slice it to 6E? I think you're gonna have to reword it so I can understand a little bit better, but if I do understand it correctly, I would say, how many rolls would a mod have for me to slice it? Well, so there's slicing happens in like 2 parts, right? So when it's already max level, you're technically slicing it, and like, let's see, slice. So like, once you're in this territory, basically anytime you're slicing, you're using specific slicing materials. If it is a mod that, let's see, unassigned, we'll give another example. Any set, that's fine. I want to make sure it has speed secondary and is at least 15, and we'll take these ones up. Oh, sorry, yeah, slicing, because we're talking about slicing in this instance, right? Oh, another key feature right here, right next to the filter, is sort. Make sure you're sorting by speed when you're looking at what to slice. Now let's take a look at some of these examples real quick. This one right here is a pretty good example. I would definitely slice this one because it has a potential to, if you're early to early mid game, I would slice this for sure, because you're going to get at least a 20 speed mod out of this, most likely. Once you're kind of where I'm at the 6 million plus range, I get very stingy with my mods, and because the slicing quality of this particular mod isn't the greatest, you're technically having to rely on one of these 2 remaining rolls to be a 6 in order for it to hit 25 speed. Because if you didn't hit speed at all right now, you go to 6E, it's gonna be a 14 speed, and then you have 2 more chances. If both of those rolls hit 5, it's a 24 speed mod. The goal really is to hit 25 speed. Now the offense on this is really good, so you can make a case for saying, well, if it hits offense, and this is a really high roll for offense, it can still be good. So for, again, early to early mid, I would still slice this up. This is a good example. Nick says, what do you say some parameters for 6-dotting things early on as you have less materials, max offense rolls with offense mods? I would say, especially early game, you're not getting a lot of slicing materials for 6E to take stuff to 6E, right? So we look at like stuff like this, right? These materials right here, it's a decent amount, to be honest. You know, 50 of these, 50 of these. These you can accumulate over time, but early on in the game, when galactic challenges come out, right? And I'll show you an example, because we have one going on right now. Galactic challenges is a big resource for some of this stuff. So we go here, and we go to the rewards, right? So galactic challenges are a few times a week, and they have all these different crates depending on how well you do, right? So I'll take this one for an example. I can already tell you I am not going to max it because I don't have a Night Sister squad. So, but dots, you got to do all these feats at the highest challenge possible in order for you to get these little, what do you call these? Key cards, and you want to, later on, you want to be able to try to get red grape. As you can see that these crates, they give you a bunch of different types of gear, which helps with like relicking, which is a whole different topic, helps you with your regular gear. But the biggest part right here is you start seeing these slicing materials, and that's where a good chunk of your resources are going to come from. Early on, you could make a case for farming some of these, but only if you have like an A squad that you really, really want those mods leveled up. But till then, especially early on, I'd be very stringent on what I'm going to 6E, just because you don't have that income to justify taking stuff to 6E. I've had a few accounts already, and it always ends up the same way of like these mats are just very hard to come by. So I would say if you're gonna slice anything up to 6E, it would be for whoever your like your star player is for that particular team. And like, for example, early on, almost everyone's gonna build Darth Vader. You can make a case early on for saying, hey, if I find good mods, I will take them up to 6E for Darth Vader. Not that this is a good example for a Darth Vader mod, but looking at this mod, this is a fantastic mod for any tank. This is just insane, to be honest. It's a health set with 14 speed, so that means when I 6E it, it's going to be, or sorry, 19 speed. When I 6E it, it's going to be 20 speed, and I have one more chance, so that means I have a good chance of getting a 25 speed mod out of this. All the secondaries are percentage, tenacity, protection, and health. Literally just, this is like a god mod for any kind of tank. So I'll use this mod particularly as an example of what you want to slice up. But before going into there, you can see there's some other mods down here, right? They're the 12 speed. To be honest, even now, I wouldn't slice anything that's a 3 hit of 12 speed. It has to be, for me, a 3 speed or 3 hit at 14 speed minimum, because 6E will take this to 15. I have 2 more chances at speed, and that this mod right here could potentially be another 25 speed mod. So early on, it's good to hoard these materials because you're not going to have the currency or the income to 6E everything. And yes, 6E is all nice and shiny, but be very, very stringent to help your mod growth. So we'll go into 6E for an example, and I saved this mod for this instance because this is just a fantastic mod to show. So like I said before, going from 5A to 6E, this is going to take the speed up to 20. So we'll go ahead and slice it up. Boom, now we have a 20 speed. And what we want to do is hit this again, and we want to see if we can get speed. So we're going to go ahead and hit it. We got percent health. This is still a fantastic mod, no matter what it hits, to be honest. So we'll go ahead and hit it again. There we go. There is our 25 speed mod. This is what you essentially are trying to aim for when you're slicing your mods up. You want to be very strict about what you're 6Eing. You want to put yourself in a position where you have the most chances of getting a 25 speed mod. And the way to do that, like I said previously, is don't 6E any mod that doesn't have a 3 hit, which is 3 hits of the speed, at a minimum of 14. Even at almost 6.5 mil, I pretty much follow that mantra and can get mods like this, like on the fly, as needed. Now RNG does play, heavily into this, and these slicing materials get kind of hefty. But your goal is to match like this set or this mod particularly. I knew it would be amazing on any tank. It can be amazing on a lot of different people, but this is just pure tank stuff right here. Find a mod that has a matching set to your primary that you want. So if it's an offense set, you want offense primaries, or crit damage if it's a triangle. And then for your secondaries, you want, if it's a mod that can't roll offense, you want speed and offense as a secondary. If it does have offense up here, you want speed and then some other secondary stat that will help you out. The general rule of thumb is percentage based secondaries is the best, and then flat is not as good. The only reason I would argue the other way of that, of flat stats is better than percentage based, is if you have a character which you are not intentionally bringing to relics due to a plethora of scenarios. An example for myself is I have Zori. I will not take her to relics anytime soon because she functions at her level without relics. So because she's not at relics, she is basically just, she's not getting a lot of, protection or health, even from like 4.44% protection. She's not going to get that much versus like a 2000 protection flat stat. But that's more nuanced. For now, just for early to mid game, just focus on speed, secondaries of your choosing, as much of that being percentage based as possible. So I'm gonna go to chat real quick. Everyone's freaking out because I got 25 speed mod. Okay, so just checking that. All right. So we've talked about leveling up your mods, getting them to gold or 5A, making sure they hit these speeds. Like as an example, before I take anything to 15, I keep it at 12 and I review it to see if this is a mod I want to take up further. So looking at some of these mods right here, right? I have high, this one has a high speed, 19 speed that can turn into a 20 if I 6E it. But the problem is the secondaries are good for the primary, but it's a crit chance mod, so it's kind of like whatever. Not a lot of people need that at all. But looking at stuff like, crit damage triangles, very rare. You're gonna want to keep them as you get them. This one isn't particularly good, but because crit damage triangles are so rare, there's a case made to take this to 6E. But for now, since I'm super stingy, like I don't care. Let's take a look at like this mod right here. I wouldn't take it up to 6E because it only has 2 hits of speed at 10, and it's too expensive to slice when you're in 6E, or yeah, 6E all the way up to 6A. It's way too expensive. So that one I would not hit up. When it comes to purples, for example, right here, I would not take this mod up. I am looking for anything. If it's purple, I'm looking for 3 hits at about 14 total speed. Blues, blues is kind of where it's like divided amongst a lot of people, because you're gonna start running into an issue where if you're being too stingy, you're not gonna develop your mods. And so there is a good case to be made for if you have a blue mod with decent secondaries, and it only has 2 hits at 10 speed, you can take this up and then try to hit purple. And if, like for instance, like this mod right here, if it doesn't hit, if I take up 15, go to purple, and it doesn't hit speed, I would probably stop right there. Nick says, slice that blue offensive mod with the max roll to show how sometimes you want to go against speed. Only criteria for some offense. Nick, did you mean this one or the other? I mean, I have this one as well. I can use either as a case, to be honest. the circle. I was on it a bit ago. Slice that blue offense mod. Okay, it's probably in here then. Nope. 6E. Nope. Circle has 13 speed, blue offense. Here, we'll just do this. Reset, boom. Circle, offense, has speed. $13 speed. Okay, so this one right here. Let's see. So slice that blue offense mod with the max roll to show how sometimes you want to go against speed, only criteria for some offense. Yeah, so what Nick is saying in chat is there's going to be cases like this mod right here, where we have an offensive set with decent amount of speed. This is good speed, right? But a huge hit on offense as a secondary, specifically offense percentage. There is definitely a case to be made to, even though there's a very low chance this will hit 25 speed, to hit this. So we'll use this as an example, and I'll go ahead and slice it to show that, hey, we would still want to take this mod up and see what we get. Right here, I would still slice this for sure. Having a really high offense roll just means that this is going to be a fantastic mod on an offensive character. And there's some offensive characters out there that don't necessarily need the fastest mod possible. So if you're early to mid game, definitely still take this up. And so I'll use this as an example. I'll definitely take this up again. We'll see. We want offense. So I had a low hit on offense, but still this is a really good mod, right? Like Nick said in chat, Jedi Knight Luke is a prime example of a character who wants a lot of offense and doesn't necessarily need all the speed. Now, some of this knowledge will take time to gather for yourself to become knowledgeable, and that's just because there's so many characters in this game, there's hundreds of characters in the game, and you can start balancing things out. This speed, it would be fantastic on Jedi Knight Luke. It could be great on Dark Trooper as well. The reason being is like Jedi Knight Luke and Dark Trooper are offensive. They're your powerhouses for their teams, but where their damage comes from is usually being called to assist. And so they don't necessarily need to have the fastest speed. They just want to have the most offense as possible. And like Nick said too, this is also a great mod for early CLS because he's going to be sharing these stats as well. So let's take this for an example. And now this is more tailored towards mid or end game people. My philosophy is, obviously spend your crystals how you want, but in this instance, say I'm like, I really want this mod, right? I really want to bring it up. You could farm these materials, right? You can get them from the mod battles. I already did my refreshes, but like just doing a couple hits on here, you're gonna see you don't really get that much from it. Maybe I'm a proponent of doing 6 refreshes on mods to get slicing materials and just building out your mods as quickly as possible. But early on, you definitely won't have that income. It's kind of like a balancing game, like ping-ponging between when I want to refresh and when I don't. But for example, it's like, hey, I really want to bring this mod up. We'll go ahead and we'll just for this instance, I'm gonna use crystals to buy this stuff out. All right, so we can have some examples. Yeah, that's fine, whatever. Okay, so we're gonna bring this up to 6E, and as an example, this will, unlock this mod because I want to keep it for sure. This mod will be an example of something you still want to slice up, even though there's a very little chance of hitting 25 speed. So bring it up, brings all the stats up, Now we have a 4% offense mod. That's amazing. That's fantastic. The benchmarks, so to say, for mods, specifically offense mods that you're looking for, are 4% offense and 6%, and then 20 speed and 25 speed. So this mod, fantastic. I can throw this on someone that needs it for sure. So we'll go ahead and, oh, I'm out of those materials. Is that worth it? Nope. So, yeah, this is a good mod. We'll definitely keep it. Can work on that later. Let's look at some slicing. Yep. This crit damage one right here is, oh man. So here's another example of a mod which was kind of an example of the circle. Remember what I said earlier, a crit damage triangle are really, really rare. So you want to be a little bit more lenient on hitting your benchmarks. This is an offense set crit damage, which is just, that's chef's kiss right there. You want this. It has offense as a secondary, offense percentage in the secondary, absolutely amazing. And it rolled no speed. This mod is still fantastic. This mod is one that you would use for a Jedi Knight Luke, like I was saying, or Dark Trooper, where all you care about is that they hit really hard because the team that they're in usually just calls them to assist. So this mod, great. Let's see. Let's take a look at some unassigned mods that I can slice. Let's take a look at, we'll talk about calibration real quick. So calibration is if you hit a mod and it doesn't necessarily go your way, and so you're like, man, I really like this mod, so I want to, what's called calibrate. So it's in this little section right here. It uses these little micro attenuators as a currency that is slow to get, but there's, you can use get 3, you can use other means to get these. You sometimes get them from mod challenges as well. And say I look at this mod on Orasang and I'm like, hey, this mod has a chance of being 25 speed. It has percent offense, which is great. It's a tenacity mod with potency, which isn't the best. We would want tenacity with tenacity, but it's still usable. And it has a tenacity substat. But it has this defense percent. Now defense percent isn't the greatest, but it isn't the worst either. But I don't want this. So let's say I'll just use this mod example. I want to calibrate it. Now when it comes to mods and calibration, you want to be very, very picky, just like when you want to 6E mods, on what you want to calibrate. Now, normally I wouldn't advise calibrating greens. I would probably go to like a blue mod and calibrate it. Or, whoops, yeah, blue or purple mod. I would calibrate those ones. And that's just because going from green to blue and blue to purple isn't the worst thing in the world. But once you're at like the purple to gold, I would basically never gold a mod unless it was like a god mod. I had everything I wanted. So, because like looking at this, I can be like, hey, all I need is, you know, 10 of these, 5 of something else, and you know, 5 of something else, and it wouldn't be terrible. You know, this isn't a terrible ask to bring it to blue. Stop mentioning the mod pack and buy it already. Oh, you're talking about this one right here, huh? I don't even think I have the crystals for it. You know what? Just because it's streaming time, let me go ahead and just buy more crystals. It says what? Purchase this item was unavailable at the limit. Has received. Oh man, what is this nonsense? Let's see. Do I have something in my inbox I was waiting on? Oh, I wonder if that's it. We'll see. Let's see. Quick pause. I'm gonna try to buy more crystals so I can buy more packs. What is this nonsense that they're trying to sell me? These Jawas trying to sell me crap that I don't need. Let's see. Purchase and design available. Okay, whatever. I don't need it. Just buy this one anyways. Meep, can I get your mod routine, like what you spend your energy on? Yeah. So let's see. So when I made my farming guide, um, when you're early game to early mid game, so like you're just starting off and you have mod challenges unlocked, or you're basically like sub 4 million, which is my benchmark of what I determine, like me personally, as what I consider still early game. Once you hit that 4 million, you can do proving grounds, and that's where you're like early to mid-ish game. My routine is, I forgot the YouTuber I watched. He had interviewed like the number 4 in the world on how he does mods. And I kind of like his mentality, which is instead of having like a every Monday, Wednesday, Friday I do speed, and Tuesdays, Thursdays I do offense, and weekends I do random stuff. What I tend to do is I farm for what I need in that instance. The majority of the mods that you're going to be using is speed and offense. I generally wouldn't advise farming crit chance or crit damage mods early, because when you go to like SWGOH.gg and you look at people's mods, like, oh, crit damage, crit chance. Technically, yes, you can get more out of that, but the math has already been done that you're squeezing water out of a rock when it comes to offense sets versus like crit chance and crit damage. There is certain characters that you're going to definitely want crit damage mods on because of how their kit works, but those are, onesie twosies. What I would advise is just really focus on speeds and offense mods. Potency, tenacity, defense, and health you'll gain passively through doing those galactic challenges, as well as random events like Ewoks and stuff like that. Will drop health mods and tenacity mods and defense mods for you. But aside from that, I would definitely just, if you have a character you're working on, farm the mods for that character. Now it gets a little bit more nuanced. Like I'm a firm believer of building your mod set way far out from the character that you're trying to build. So in my instance, I'm trying to build Inquisitors, and Grand Inquisitor, and Reva. I'm already farming their mods, even though at the quickest I won't get Reva until 2.5 months. So I'm taking these 2.5 months to build a mod set. And I'll show you an example of kind of how I do it personally. Let's take a look. There's a thing on here called Assign Loadouts. So when you click on your mods, you can go to Assign Loadout. And here you can kind of play around with mods. And so you can see up here, I have an Inquisitor Whip, which is a work in progress. And what I've done is, okay, I have 8th, 5th, Grand Inquisitor, 9th, and 7th, all right here. And I've built a baseline mod set for them. Now these mods aren't great, but it shows me with my current mod roster or mod inventory where I'm at with these people, right? And so we'll take a look at the most important characters, and you work your way down, right? You want your most important character to be the best modded. If you had an option, or if you had no option of, hey, I only have enough to get one character really well modded, you want it to be your key character that makes the team work. So looking at like GI, I got a couple of decent mods on here. This is pretty good. I can work with that. This one's really good. Definitely we'll use that on GI. But then you look at some other mods. These are all right. But do I want to slice them up to purple? I'm not too sure yet. Looking at this purple mod, trash in my opinion. but it's what I have. And so going back to your question, Wolfie, about what to farm, I know I'm 2.5 months out from Grand Inquisitor and Riva. I'm building their mods now. Um, since my mod inventory has crappy offensive sets, like for this cross, like I don't have a better cross right now in this instance, it's telling me, hey, I need to farm more offense mods. So you'll have to find a balance, because early game, you really want to push those mods as hard as you can, and then you're going to have to find your own balance, depending on how quickly you're developing your rosters and whatnot, of do I farm mods themselves, or do I farm slicing materials to bring those mods up? A good rule of thumb too is, like, once you get a baseline set of decent mods, and you're like, hey, this mod I would like to bring up, because it's health set and decent secondaries. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and farm these materials. Take however long you need and slice it up. If it doesn't hit speed, then hey, I'm probably not gonna want to touch this mod again. So you really have to find that balance of, do you want to farm mods or do you want to farm slicing materials? But definitely have a plan in mind of what you want to do, what you want to build out. You can look at like this entire Inquisitor set. I don't have Third Sister or Riva on here just yet, but looking at here, you can see, offense set, speed set, offensive set, health set, and speed set. So I got, 2 offense sets and 2 speed sets. So in this instance, I will be farming a lot of speed and a lot of offense until I can get some good mods to slice up. Let's see. Wolfie says, like usually, I farm the mods I need with 2 refreshes, then refresh once for mats. Yeah, I'm in the situation whether I farm slicing materials or mods. Yeah, so it's definitely a balance you want to find for your roster and for your account. Everyone's a bit different. It's hard to give, this is the best way to do it. I know a lot of YouTube content creators, or content creators just in general, say, hey, this is how I do mods and whatnot, but I definitely like that idea of looking at mods like a puzzle, like a problem that you need to solve. I don't have good offense mods for my GI, for an arrow, or for a cross, and I have okay health ones. You can see I have 8th right here with some green mods. That means, hey, I need to look at these mods and see what's going on. Do I want to level these up? Do they have good secondaries? Like this one's pretty decent. Has offense, which is a decent roll of offense. Do I want to bring this up? And we'll just slice it up and just see what happens. Tenacity, I will probably not touch this mod again. So it's just like that, it's easy as that. Now I need more slicing materials. I need more offensive mods to work with. So I hope that answered your question, Wolfie. Okay, so we're gonna go back and look at, let's see, I think it was like take the 60, I need, no, it was, where we're at. I think we're at slicing. Let's take a look. Yeah, so we're working with these 2 mods, right? I'll just go ahead and buy this nonsense, who cares? I wouldn't advise doing this. It's definitely not efficient, but I'm just doing it for the cases I'm making to show you that there's some mods that you want to slice up. And like this one, for example, our goal when we slice this is we want to hit speed or we want to hit offense. If it hits any of these other 2, we'll walk into calibration real quick. Boom, we hit this. Flat defense. Utter trash. Can I hit this one more time? Do I need something special? Oh my goodness. This is what it's come down to. There we go. It was worth it. All right. So, like I said before, I don't want to calibrate this just yet. 15 is the lowest calibration you can start with, but it's very easy to slice it up to blue. You want to hit it and see what we hit. Oh my god. Alright, RNG is not my favor, but that's okay. We'll talk about calibration real quick, and then we'll wrap up. So calibration, as you can tell, as you can see, I hit two things of flat defense, which is, I actually think is the worst thing you can get. So this is horrible. So calibration, you get these micro attenuators. There's different ways of getting them. You get them from these Galactic Legend tokens if you wanted to. There's a small chance that they drop when you're farming slicing materials. And then you can get them through the weekly shipments as well. I think it's the weekly shipments. You can get them with Get 3. Excuse me. So what calibration is you pick something that you do not want. I do not want flat defense. I want speed or offense. Now, in this instance, I have a 25% chance of hitting these. The reason it's 25% chance is because even though I'm taking away from defense, it can land on flat defense again. There'll be mods where you have 5 hits of something. So say there was 5 hits of offense here, and I had a hit on defense. I can slice the defense, and I have a 33% chance of getting speed, because you can't add a 6th hit to offense. You can only have 5 hits of any secondary. So when it comes down to figuring out what you want to calibrate, generally I would say blues you have to make a decent case for. Purples is where you want to start looking at calibrating. But for this instance, we'll go ahead and calibrate this. We don't want flat defense, we want one of these two. Let's see what happens. Yep, I want to spend it. And oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I'm going to take it because flat defense or percent defense is better than flat. So we'll go ahead and keep the changes. But this is an instance of how mods work, actually. I actually like this example. Mods are not going to go your way 90% of the time. And that's just how this game works. Everything's based on chance. Everything takes time. It takes time to accumulate micro attenuators, so I can go ahead and calibrate this again. In my instance, I will not calibrate this mod. Again, I will hit purple probably one more time. If it hits offense, great. If it hits speed, I will probably just stop, to be honest. It's not worth gold. It's not worth calibrating more. It's just, that's where it's at, for me at least. But for you, you have to make the case, figure out what you want. Let's see if there's anything else. Let us look. I think that's all there is. I think the only other thing I would touch on is kind of like when I was answering Wolfie's question. Build a plan, mod for what you're building into or what you have and you need to enhance. As an example, on this account that I have, there's, I'm building for Inquisitors, but if I happen to run into some decent tenacity mods, I need to work on my Chewbacca, right? My Chewbacca has these offense set, and I really need him to be tenacity heavy. So, maybe, I'm like, hey, I'm looking for tenacity mods for this guy. Maybe I take something from Captain Rex or something. But build a plan, farm for what you need, and I think that is pretty much all I have. If you guys have any questions, I will try to make an infographic this week and post it on my YouTube community page to kind of make it a bit easier so you don't have to sit through all this on a general rule of thumb, because an infographic won't cover everything, but a general rule of thumb of what to level, how to level, and what to consider for 6E and what to consider for slicing calibration. But thank you guys for coming to the live stream. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later.